Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Grand Tour. Hi there sailors, I am Terje and this is a brand spanking new episode of SV Embla. Now this episode is special for two reasons really. The first one is it is episode number 30. So I thought I was going to make a little different episode this time, namely a walkthrough of the boat and some of its history. And the next thing is actually we are on summertime. You see, here in Scandinavia we have something called wintertime and summertime, and in the summertime we turn the clock 1 hour forward, and in the wintertime we turn it 1 hour back. And last Sunday it was time to turn the clock forward. Turn means I've survived my first winter on the boat, and that called for a celebrations really. So here's for surviving on the boat. Thank you very much. Cheers. Oh, that was cognac, quite good though. Welcome back to Stavanger Harbor, and on this beautiful spring day. The sun is up and it's slowly starting to warm up the place. And last night we had some -5 degrees or something, so it was a little nippy in there. I woke up at I think it was 4 in the morning. I've run out of diesel from the heater, so it was chilly. Anyway, today is the day we're going to do the walkthrough of the boat. Before that, I have one more thing I gotta show you. You see, the prior week I received this parcel in the mail here, and it's from one of you guys there back home. It's from a guy called Ballas Kutasi or Kutsi from Hungary, and he sent me this book here called Torpedo. And he found this at his work, and this book is in Danish, so he thought that since I'm Norwegian I probably can read this text, which I can. So thanks a million, Ballas, and it was really cool of you, much appreciated. Thanks again. About this boat, I think I said this in episode number 1. This here is the Allegro 33. Handsome guy, still miss the bear though. Well, this boat was completed in 1986, but was started long time before that. It was actually started in 78, 79 somewhere at a boatyard in Nyköping. The original owner of this boat is a guy called Jösse that lives down in Malmö, and he wanted a good, solid and stable boat to go sail to the Caribbean with his family. Now Jösse was also the builder of this boat, but now we are getting ahead of ourselves, because the real story of the Allegro starts way earlier than this. You see, it was in 1966 that the svenska Kosterbåtssällskapet had their competition.
Swedish Coaster Boat Association is a non-profit organization that works to preserve and promote the old coaster boats.
They had a competition about designing the new coaster boat, and when we're talking about coaster boats, I'm not talking about anything you have underneath your glass or cup. I'm talking about a region of Sweden that is called Koster, and that is on the west coast of Sweden, just north of Gothenburg. That region is renowned for having, well, kind of hard winds and very shallow seas. So what is a coaster boat? Now this here is a coaster, double-ender with the rudder mounted on the outside, connected with the keel underneath the waterline, which gives excellent protection against impact. The beam is quite wide for its size, and a full keel with a shallow draft. And on my boat, which you can see here, the draft is only about 5 feet. 1966, a renowned Swedish sailboat designer and marine engineer decided to enter the competition with his project, and that man's name was Lars-Olof Norlin, and his project's name was the Allegro, and that boat was a 27-foot, which you can see here. That boat won the whole competition back in it think it was in '67 the competition was finished. So that is actually the big little sister of the Allegro 33. That boat became really popular and still are popular. I think they made about 200 or 300 of them, but the demand came of a bigger version of the 27. So Lars Olav designed the 33, which of course the Embla is. And that boat was the biggest boat at the boat show that year. So back then the boats were a little smaller, at least up here. If you had a 33 foot, you would be the king in any harbor. Over to the guest of honor of this show, the boat. As I told you previously, Jösse was the original owner and he built this boat himself. And you see, back then you could acquire your boat in different ways, and one of them was of course buying a boat, just like today. But you could also take part in the building process yourself under the guidance of the personnel that worked there, of course. And he did that, so he went up to Nyköping, a lot of weekends, a lot of holidays, I guess, and it took him a while to make it. And when it was finished with the hull and superstructure, he took it home. And he spent the next 6 years outfitting the boat and doing all of the interior until she was ready. And I think if you're going for a really long sail with your family, you don't want to cut any corners. The boat is over 30 years old, so it has some wear and tear, but I think she's still quite solid. I needed a better way to get in and out of the boat, so I bought this one. I'm not completely satisfied with it, but it will do its job. Mostly it's this. It's a little too loose for my taste, and I wanted a bar over here to connect these two. That would make it more rigid. So that is one thing to do. And up here we have the CQR anchor, 45 pounds, which is about 20.5 kilo, I believe. And it has kept me in place on anchor in about 27 knots of wind. It has done its job. I have 35 meters of chain on there, on the windlass there, which is a completely manual one. And that is also as old as the boat and still works great. And here, when I bought the boat, these pulpits here were a different kind. It was stuck here and it was stuck in here, so it was quite narrow and it took up so much of the working space here at the front. So I wanted something else. So I asked a couple of welders to put this together, and as you can see now, we have really massive working space up here. And the windlass, as I said, completely manual. It's a little workout though to get all of the chain up. And here we have the chain locker. Down here I keep all of the chain and different stuff, spare anchor. And yeah, now another little problem I have is this chain here. It comes down here and it goes down here and into the chain locker that way, but as you can see, it comes out there too close to the, I don't know, floor, I guess. So it bundles up and it stops. So it should be up here, I reckon somewhere here, so the fall height is much higher. So that is something I would like to improve, and I would also like to have some sort of shelving under these stringers here, so I could store different stuff that has to do with anchoring, but not getting in the way of the chain. Now, another really cool feature about this boat is the foot guard. And if you see here how tall it is, you can see my foot. Even if the boat is on its side, you still have a a good grip here. And here we have my trusty companion all through the winter. This is of course the chimney for the diesel heater, the reflex diesel heater, and I just can't put it strongly enough how much I dig this thing. It is so incredible, you know. It heats up everything and it dries out the boat at the same time, so it's worth every penny having one of these guys on board. Doesn't have to be a reflex heater, I guess, but a diesel heater is the thing. And here you have the Torpedo boxes, which is handmade by Jösse, and he actually used epoxy to fasten this to the boat, so these will not move no matter what you do. They used to be all varnished and stuff, and they looked a lot better than they do today. But when I bought the boat, it was all cracked and destroyed anyway, so I just took it off, and I was hoping they will become all gray, but I think I will have to oil them this summer. And these are just your normal typical ventilators, which you can move around in some hard rubber thingy. And then you have the sissy bars or side pulpits, which I used to call sissy bars, but now being out there on the open ocean, I actually find them not to be very sissy at all. So there ain't no sissy about these ones. The top here of the superstructure is insulated, so I guess if you think about all of the ventilation here and this insulation in the top here, that must be because he was going to the Caribbean and he wanted a way to keep the boat cool inside. But it works just as well during the winter. And here is the Liferaft, which I probably should get serviced already. I think it was 5 years ago or something. Needed to go to service. As I've heard, it costs about 10,000 kroner to get this serviced, and right now there's no way to get that done. And here is also one of Jösse's special constructions, the hardtop dodger, which he made for the boat, and it is such a great thing to have on a boat, a hardtop dodger. So and it's perfect to hugger underneath there when the weather is bad. I only wish it was just a little longer, just a little bit longer. Anyway, love this thing. A couple of years back, when I think it was the first winter I had this boat, I was demossing it to put the boat on land, and this boom here, I dropped it on top of the dodger and it all came loose. It came loose here in the seam. Going forward to the cockpit, you have your winch. There's a 16 Anderson, and it's a 46, which is the main winch on both sides there, and then you have another one 16 there for the main. The instruments there and the chart plotter, even though I mostly use the iPad actually. Oh, sorry for the mess in the cockpit, but it's a liveaboard boat right now, so it becomes a little messy. Now in the cockpit here you have 4 of these lockers. You have 2, that's the gas locker I was down in, so you know that is a big one. This is not as big, but it's still big. These 2 are pretty shallow ones, because underneath them are the battery banks and stuff. Here I just keep some fishing stuff and different things. You have this pretty big locker back here also, and there's the tiller and the rudder on the outside. It's a big rudder. You have 2 sets of autopilots. This is one that attached down there. You see the splint there. That's a Raymarine electrical one, and then you have the Windlass, also one of Jösse's things. This is a Ares windlass.